Pinocchio, with a little help from Michael Morpurgo, Emma Chichester Clark, and not forgetting Signor Carlo Collodi. Chapter 8. All alone in the world. So, in the morning, I was on my way again. I had had enough of adventures by now. I just wanted to find my good fairy's cottage again, to be with her and with Mamma and Papa. I walked and walked. After a while, I began to recognize where I was. I came across the tree where I'd so nearly been hanged. But however hard I searched, I couldn't find the little white cottage where the good fairy had taken me in and looked after me. By the time darkness fell, I was completely exhausted and could walk no further. I curled up under a tree. An owl hooted above me. Little creatures rustled and rooted about in the forest. But nothing could keep me awake. How I wish I had never fallen asleep, for I dreamed the worst dream I had ever had. I was searching through the forest and came at last to the ruins of the good fairy's cottage, and nearby a marble stone. I went closer. It was a gravestone. The words I read on it broke my heart. Here lies the good fairy with the sea-blue hair. She died from grief after her beloved little brother Pinocchio ran away and abandoned her. I woke myself up, sobbing. "Please don't let it be true," I cried. "I did abandon her, and I abandoned Papa and Mamma too. Maybe they're dead as well. Oh, please don't let it be true." Just then, a cooing pigeon fluttered down and landed beside me. "What's up?" he cooed. "You seem awfully upset." So, as you sometimes do with strangers, I told him my whole story and all about the terrible dream I'd just had. So you are the famous Pinocchio," he said, nodding away as pigeons do. "I've heard of you. Everyone is looking for you, you know. Your mamma has stayed at home waiting for you in case you return, and Geppetto, your papa, travels the country far and wide, asking after you, searching for you. He even asks pigeons like me if we've seen you. Yes, you are the most famous puppet in the world." "You know Papa?" I cried. "Of course," the cooing pigeon said. "Actually, I last saw him down by the sea only 3 or 4 days ago. He was building a boat on a beach. As soon as it's finished, he's going to sail off across the seas to look for you. He told me he thought you might have been captured by pirates." "Is this beach far away?" I asked him. "Nowhere's that far when you can fly," the cooing pigeon replied. "I could fly you there if you'd like. Maybe he's still making his boat. Maybe he hasn't sailed yet." "You could fly me there?" I said. "That would be wonderful, but won't I be too heavy?" "You? Heavy?" he cooed. "There's practically nothing of you. Hop on, Pinocchio, and hang on tight. We'll be there before you know it, lickety-split." So I hopped on and hung on, and off and away we flew up over the forests and fields, following a winding river down towards the sea. It was cold high up there, in and out of the clouds, so I buried myself in the cooing pigeon's feathers to try to keep warm, closed my eyes against the rushing of the wind, praying and praying that we wouldn't be too late, that Papa had not yet set sail. "Look down there," cooed the pigeon. From far away we could see the beach and the cliffs crowded with tiny people, but there was no sign of a boat, not on the beach or out at sea. All we could see were the heaving waves and the stormy horizon. By this time the poor cooing pigeon was quite exhausted. He only just managed to make it as far as the beach. As we landed, we saw that everyone was pointing seawards. "He's out there, that brave old man, setting sail in a storm like this to find his long-lost son. How brave is that?" Catching a glimpse of a white sail in the waves, I ran to the water's edge, waving and shouting, "I'm here, Papa, I'm here!" But the wind blew my words away. Again and again we glimpsed the sail, and every time a great shout went up. "Come back, old man! He's here! Pinocchio is here on the beach!" And then a great towering wave reared up, and I saw Papa's little boat rising, then crashing down, turning upside down. Now there was no sail to see any more, and the wailing of everyone on the beach filled the air. The gulls cried, and the wind whined. All I knew was that Papa was somewhere in that heaving sea, and that I must save him. I rushed down to the water's edge, and I dived headlong into the waves. As I swam, I looked for Papa from the top of every wave, but I never saw his sail again, nor any other sign of him. Night came on, and all there was around me was the darkness of the sea. It rained, and it hailed, thunder rumbled, lightning crackled. I cried out for the good fairy, but no help came. I was tossed about the ocean like a bobbing cork, and had no strength to swim any more. All I could do was to keep floating until daylight came. I had to keep hoping for a boat to rescue me, or to be washed up on a shore somewhere. By first light, I found myself being tumbled about in raging, roaring surf. Ahead of me I could see rearing rocks. I would be smashed to pieces. A great wave took me and hurled me up high. I shut my eyes and prepared for the worst. But when I landed, I found myself on a beach of soft sand. I sat there, stunned and bewildered. I had survived! I was alive! It was as if the page had suddenly turned. The sun came through the storm clouds. The sea calmed. I shivered the cold out of me, laid out my wet clothes to dry, and thanked my lucky stars and my dear good fairy for saving me. I was on an island, a paradise of white sand and waving palm trees, with parrots all the colours of the rainbow flitting through the branches. Out at sea there were soaring gulls and diving gannets, but no sails. Papa was not out there. No one was out there. I had been saved, but I was all alone. I was hungry too, again. To be lonely and hungry, there is nothing worse. My relief and happiness at being alive soon gave way to tears of despair. I sat on the beach and cried my heart out. "Why so downhearted?" came a voice from the sea. I looked up. It was a smiling dolphin close to the shore, and talking to me. "I'm all alone," I said. "You're not," he replied. He had gentle, kind eyes. "I'm here. How can I help you?" "Well," I told him, "I'm ever so hungry. Where can I find something to eat?" "Go along the beach towards the rising sun," said the smiling dolphin. "It's a bit of a way, but as you go, follow your nose. You'll find the air will be sweeter with every step, as sweet as honey." My mouth watered at the thought of it. "Excuse me," I said. "In your travels around the ocean, you haven't by any chance seen my papa, have you? He was out in the storm last night looking for me, in a little boat, with a white sail." The smiling dolphin shook his head and tutted as dolphins do. Not a good night to be out. Not in a storm like that. And not with the giant, gruesome shark about. Giant, gruesome shark? I cried. You wouldn't want to meet him on a dark night, I can tell you, said the smiling dolphin. He is mean, as well as huge and gruesome. He's been known to swallow warships and whaling boats whole. Just opens his giant mouth and gobbles them up. Not nice. I don't want to worry you, though. And off the smiling dolphin swam, out to sea, leaving me standing there, not just worried, but terrified for my poor papa. If he had been gobbled up, it would have been all my fault. He'd been out there in the boat looking for me. He might still be. Yes, he might still be. Don't be downhearted, I told myself. Find some food. That'll make you feel better. So I followed my nose along the beach as the smiling dolphin had told me, and just as he had said, the air was sweet with the scent of honey. At last, I came to a village. There were people out in the streets, hurrying and scurrying hither and thither. A coal merchant passed me, carrying a heavy sack of coal. What is this place? I asked, catching him up. The village of busy bees, he replied. I'm so hungry, I said, and I smell honey. Where can I get some? You'll need money to buy it, he said gruffly. Here, carry my sack for a while, and I'll give you a penny or two for your work. Not likely, I told him. What do you think I am? A donkey? Please yourself, he said. No money, no honey. Simple as that. I wandered on through the bustling streets and came across a bricklayer humping a sack of plaster. Here, lad, he said. Give us a hand, will you? I'll pay you decent money. I'm getting a bit old these days for this hard work. Do I look like a cart horse? I said. Why does everyone in this village want to treat me like a pack animal? I can't carry that. It's far too heavy, and I'm too little. All I want is a big, big spoonful of that honey I can smell. Please yourself, the bricklayer said. No money, no honey. That's life. Very simple. A little further on, I met a bent old woman in a black bonnet, carrying 2 water jugs. That reminded me, I wasn't just hungry, I was thirsty too. Can I have a drink, please? I asked her. Of course, dear, said the old lady. Help yourself. It was delicious water, and I drank it until both jugs were empty. But I was still dying of hunger. You haven't, by any chance, got any honey, have you? I asked her. No, dear, she replied, but I've got some bread at home, if you'd like that. I thought that I recognized her voice, but I couldn't remember ever having seen her before. If you wouldn't mind carrying these 2 big jugs home for me, then I'd be pleased to let you have some of my bread. No honey? No honey, but I can make you some nice cauliflower cheese, and afterwards maybe some bread and jam. She made it sound so delicious I would have carried a dozen elephants home for her. So I carried her jugs home, one on top of the other, on my head. She lived in a little house on the edge of the village. As soon as we got there, she sat me down at her table and gave me the best, most welcome supper I've ever had. Cauliflower cheese and bread and jam. I devoured everything she put before me, licked the plate clean, not a crumb was left. Thank you, I said. And as I spoke, the bent old lady took off her bonnet. Her hair was sea blue, and her wrinkled skin became smooth as she stood straight and tall. She was the good fairy, my beloved sister, not dead as I had thought, but alive, alive. I leapt up from the table and hugged her to me. So that's how I came to find my dear sister the Good Fairy in the village of Busy Bees. She took me in, fed me, clothed me, and comforted me when I was sad. And I was often sad, especially at night when I couldn't sleep. I missed Papa and Mamma dreadfully. Papa I knew by now I would never see again, but I determined I would go home and be with Mamma again, and I would take the Good Fairy, my dear sister, with me, and we would be a family together. One day all will be well again, Pinocchio. I promise you, she said. But meanwhile, you will have to go to school, like other boys do, and work hard, as everyone does in this village, children and grown-up children alike. But, dear sister, I hate work, I told her. It's hard. It's difficult. I know, she told me. But work can also be fun. You'll see. The Good Fairy was right about most things. I knew that, but not about this. What she didn't understand was that I liked lolling around, playing with the toys she gave me, enjoying myself. Pinocchio, she said, you have a kind heart, and I love you. But you are sometimes a bit lazy. So I want you to go to school, work hard, do your best, and make me proud of you. It took her a while to persuade me. The idea of school did not appeal to me one bit, but I did want to make her proud of me. I promise I will work hard, dear sister, I told her. I won't let you down this time. I promise. That's the trouble with promises. I always found them so easy to make and so hard to keep. So she sent me off to school in the village of Busy Bees, where the children, I soon discovered, worked just as hard as everyone else in the village, and these goody-goodies expected me to do the same. But worst of all, just like the boys in my old school, they teased me all the time. They called me Wooden Top or Blockhead. I had only one friend in the whole school. He was called Lampwick because he was so skinny and tall. He never teased me, not once. He was just about as naughty as me, too, so for once I had a partner in crime. Our horrible teacher, Mr. Beaky, was always standing Lampwick in the corner. When my writing or my sums weren't good enough, Mr. Beaky would tick me off and stand me in the corner, too. Actually, I didn't mind that much because Lampwick was usually there. I liked being in the corner with Lampwick. We'd wink at each other and turn round and put our tongues out at the other children when Mr. Beaky wasn't looking. Day after day the others went on teasing me, just because I nodded my head or jiggled about when I moved. In the playground sometimes they'd play at being puppets and join hands circling round me, clumping their feet as I did and laughing at me. It made me so angry. I told my Good Fairy about it, and she said they'd soon get tired of it, that I mustn't take any notice, and certainly not get into any fights about it. You just have to work hard, Pinocchio, and show them you're no blockhead, that you're as good as they are, better even. I liked that idea. Yes, I would show them. I'd be better than them at everything. I would settle down, go to school every day, be on time, and work so hard that I'd amaze both the teachers and the other children. And that's just what I did. Soon I was top of the class, top goody-goody in the whole school. But it wasn't long before I discovered, of course, that didn't make me many friends either. Quite the opposite. They picked on me more than ever. I'd had enough of all their mocking antics, when one big bully boy shouted at me, "You're nothing but a walking skeleton, Pinocchio. Rattlebones! Rattlebones!" I did what the Good Fairy said, and tried to take no notice. But when he said it again, and tweaked my nose, I went for him. I didn't care how big and strong he was. I kicked him with my hard little feet. I punched him with my hard little fists, and I butted him with my hard little head. Everyone gathered round, and a great shout went up. "Fight! Fight! Come on, Pinocchio!" They were cheering for me. When I'd finished all my punching and kicking, I sat on the big bully boy and raised my fists in the air. "Champion!" they cried. "Pinocchio's a champion!" After that, I was flavour of the month. Everyone wanted to be my best friend. They all wanted to play the games I wanted to play. I was the most popular boy in the whole school. I was king of the castle, top dog, and I was loving every minute of it. I didn't have to work hard any more to prove myself. It was all too easy to give up being the hard-working schoolboy I had become. Being popular was far more fun, and I could see that what made me really popular was fighting. By now, I was in with a crowd of bad lads. I was their gang leader. We bunked off school whenever we could, so that's how we ended up down on the beach that morning, me and my gang, instead of being at school. We didn't start the fight, but we finished it. A gang of boys ambushed us in the dunes. They snatched our school books, and we went after them. I was a fearless fighter by now, and the fastest runner, so I caught up with them first. It was quite a punch-up, fists and feet flying everywhere. But I had wooden feet, wooden fists, and they hurt. It wasn't long before we had them on the run. As we chased after them along the beach, I picked up the heaviest book I could find, they were scattered all over the sand, and hurled it after them. It hit one of the boys on the back of the head and knocked him senseless to the ground. He was out cold. "Run and get some water," I said. Lampwick rushed off and filled his hat from the sea. We splashed water on the boy's face to wake him up. We shook him, but nothing did any good. "You've killed him, Pinocchio," Lampwick cried. And then he, and all my friends, if you can call them that, legged it. So there I was, left alone on the beach with this boy, suddenly realizing what I had done, regretting everything I'd become, and knowing how much I had let myself down again, how much of a disappointment I must be to my good fairy, just as I had been to my dear mamma and papa. I was trying to shake some life into the boy, when along came two carabinieri, two of the most fearsome policemen I'd ever seen, with a monster of a dog that bared his teeth at me and growled most horribly. "What happened here, young fellow me lad?" one of them asked me. "Did you do this?" "No, I never," I told them. "This book," I picked up one of the books and showed it to them. It just hit him." "Whose book is it, young fellow me lad?" "Mine." Just then the boy sat up and rubbed his head. "Where am I?" he said. Then he recognized me and saw the carabinieri. "He done it!" the boy shouted, pointing at me. "He hit me! I could have been killed! Arrest him! Arrest him! Put him in prison!" Well, I'd already been in prison, you know that, and I didn't want to go there ever again, so I legged it. No puppet ever ran faster than I did then, and that was because every time I looked round that great, slobbery monster of a dog was hard on my heels, and his teeth looked very big and very sharp. But no matter how fast I ran, he was running faster. He was catching me up all the time. I could feel his hot breath on my neck. Any moment now, I'd feel his teeth sinking into me. He'd tear me to pieces and spit me out onto the sand, and that would be the end of Pinocchio.
In March 2018, we opened our doors to the public with a vision not just to create challenging professional theatre, but to use this as a platform to inspire and bring communities together. Theatre and culture build identity. With theatre and culture in our local life, the community landscape is more vibrant. Local life is enriched. We believe that the benefits of theatre should be available for everyone. Our Theatre for All programme has removed financial barriers, giving disadvantaged people access to the theatre free of charge.
So we were told that we'd come here and have a Christmas meal and then go and watch A Christmas Carol.
Our aim is to make live professional theatre available to everyone and use that experience for positive change. Theatre can be transformational in young lives. Our academy is now in its 4th year, and we continue to build on our vision of bringing the best performing arts tuition to the heart of the Cotswolds. We work hard to make our academy as inclusive and as accessible as possible. Discounts apply for parents with more than one child. Our bursaries help support talented children from less affluent backgrounds. The Academy creates a fun and challenging environment where children can build friendships and develop key skills not just for theatre, but for life. We are also able to provide real opportunities for students who wish to pursue careers in the arts.
My name is Harry Apps. I am currently playing Marius in Les Miserables in the West End.
Barn outreach and learning programs engage with thousands of people. Our free workshops support the drama curriculum in local schools. Singing and musical theatre workshops in community groups and care homes have helped address issues of isolation. Our Song for Cirencester project in aid of mental health charities brought our community together in an unprecedented way. We've collaborated with many charities in the region, including the Churn Project, to support individuals dealing with the barriers to finding work.
Since working with you, my life's changed. It's given me some purpose, given me an interest, some confidence I was lacking prior to all this.
The Barn Theatre played a pivotal role in the town's 2018 World War I centenary celebrations. Who could forget our record-breaking Human Poppy? Our live streaming work on the annual Advent Festival helped thousands engage and take part in Cirencester's Christmas festivities. In these times of uncertainty, we strive to keep the community together. The theatre may be temporarily closed, but our commitment to you goes on. Even now, our amazing costume department are helping the NHS by making scrubs for frontline workers. We've used our technology to build a free live streaming service that provides much needed community news and entertainment for all the family, broadcasting every day to keep us all connected. We are not just a theatre. We are the Barn.